Hello everyone, welcome back to Atreyu Crochet. So today we're going to be making a men's crochet hat. Now this hat is actually a unisex hat, but it was time to make a tutorial for another men's hat because it seems like you guys like men's hats. But as I said before, this is unisex, so a woman or man can wear it. Because we are approaching Christmas, I thought it'd be a good idea to make some tutorials for things that would serve as nice, possibly Christmas gifts. And not necessarily just for Christmas, any time of the year. But because we are approaching Christmas and I'm in the spirit, I thought I would use some green and red yarn. So this pattern, I found this pattern. It's by a woman named Dawn Gillis. It's a free pattern and it's online. And yeah, it calls for some Lion brand wool ease yarn. And I happen to have a couple of Lion brand yarns in my stash. I don't think it's woolies, but it called for super bulky. It's definitely super bulky. So you need two colors. So one color you need 80 yards. This is 81. As you see right there. Both of these are actually. And then the other color 20 yards. So, and then you're going to need two crochet hooks. The pattern calls for a 6.5 or K-hook. That's going to be for the body of the hat. I'm using 7 because my tension is sometimes tight. And then for the brim portion of this hat, you're going to need a 5.5 millimeter I-hook. And once again, I'm using 6 instead of 5.5 because my tension is a little tight. You'll need a weaving darning tapestry needle and then a pair of scissors. So let's get to this. Alright, so we're going to start with the body of the hat. My body will be green, and you're also, remember, going to start out with the larger hook, so 6.5 millimeters. In my case, I'm going to be using the 7 millimeter. So we're going to start with a slip knot. It doesn't say that in the pattern, but it's understood that that's what you start out with because you have to chain 4 next. So now that we've created our slip knot, chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and now we're going to join with the slip stitch. This should be familiar. And pull all the way through. Okay. Now we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. And this is going to count as the first double crochet. Now we're going to crochet 11 more double crochets into this ring that we've just created. So here's that hole in the center. We're going to put 11 double crochets in there, and we're going to have a total of 12 stitches for this round, which is round 1. So let's go. Yarn over, go into that hole that you can barely see there. You can keep the tail down, and then yarn over, and then pull that through to the front. Now make sure you don't hook on to anything, and then you should have 3 loops on your crochet hook. Now yarn over, go through 2. 1, 2. Yarn over, go through 2. 1, 2. Yarn over, go back into that ring, and I've pushed the tail out of the way back there. Yarn over, pull through to the front. 3 loops. Yarn over, go through 2. Yarn over, go through 2. Okay? Yarn over, go into the center of the ring. Yarn over, pull through to the front. Yarn over, go through 2. Yarn over, go through 2. Okay, so let's see what we have. We have our chain 3 that we started with. Then we crochet 3 double crochets, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so we have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4 stitches. We need a total of 12. So continue crocheting double crochets, and I will meet you once we have all 12 stitches, including that chain 3. Okay, so I have my 12 stitches. Remember to include that chain 3 as one of the stitches. So I have 11 double crochets, and then this first chain 3 that counts as a double crochet, so I have 12 stitches. Alright, now to move on to round 2. So we're going to slip stitch into the top chain of that chain 3. So 1, 2, 3 there. So that's the top of the chain 3. We're just going to slip stitch into it. Yarn over, pull all the way through. Now we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3, this is going to count as one of the stitches. And in this round, basically we're going to put 2 stitches in every single stitch below. So remember, we had 12 stitches for this round. That means that when we're done with this round, round 2, we're going to have 24 stitches. All right, and remember, this chain 3 counts as a stitch. So this chain 3 is in the chain 3 below, but we need to have 2 stitches in every stitch. So we're going to put a double crochet into the same place that we just slip stitched into. Okay. Now, this chain 3, which is a stitch below, has 2 stitches in it. It has the chain 3, and then it has the double crochet. Now we can move on to the next stitch, which is actually the first double crochet we made of the previous round. So that one. And we're going to put 2 double crochets into that. So yarn over, go into the top of it, yarn over, pull through to the front, yarn over, go through 2, yarn over, go through 2. Yarn over, go back into that same stitch, yarn over, pull through to the front, yarn over, go through 2, yarn over, go through 2. Okay? So you see this chain 3 below has 2 stitches. That next stitch has 2 stitches, and you're just going to continue around putting 2 stitches in every stitch. I will meet you back here. Alright, so we are at our last stitch of this round. So to get back on so you can kind of see what things are looking like. So I've put 2 stitches in every stitch below, and then this is the last stitch. So we're going to put 2 double crochet into that stitch as well. Now this yarn will kind of want to split on you, so just be careful. And if it does split, then just take it out and get the yarn worked correctly. Okay, you want it to be as close to perfect as possible. All right, so we've completed round 2. So now, just as before, we're going to slip stitch into the top of the chain 3 here. So 1, 2, 3. It's that one right there. And then yarn over and pull all the way through. I'm going to chain 3. 1, 2, and 3. For those of you who have followed my TAM tutorials, this sort of pattern that we're doing probably seems very familiar. It's very common, to make hats starting off this way. So don't be surprised if a lot of this is familiar, even though I didn't create the pattern. It's just how a lot of hats are made. All right, so now moving on to round 3, we're going to chain 3, which we did, and then we're going to put 2 double crochets into the next double crochet. So remember last round we went back into the place where we put the slip stitch and we created our first double crochet. This time we're not doing that. Okay, this time we're going to go to the next stitch. So this is the chain 3 below, this is the next stitch, and this is where we're going to put 2 double crochet into. Okay, yarn over, go through 2, yarn over, go through 2, yarn over, go back into that same next stitch, yarn over, go through 2, yarn over, go through 2. Okay, so we have the chain 3 over that chain 3, and then the very next stitch, and by the way that's a chain 3, so chain 3 into the chain 3, next stitch we have 2 double crochets. All right, so now we're going to put 1 double crochet into the next stitch, and then can you guys guess how many double crochet are going into this next one? That's correct, 2. So as you can see, that's going to be your pattern for this round. It's going to be 1, 2, 1, 2. Now you might be wondering, what about the beginning? Well, technically, that chain 3 was the 1, right? So 1, 2, 1, 2, and so on, okay? And I'm going to meet you when we get back to this last stitch right there. All right, so we're at the last stitch, and once again, we're ending on the pattern I shouldn't say once again because it's not once again in this video, it's in one of my previous videos. But I feel like a lot of you are all the same people, so you understand what I mean. So when I say end on the pattern is 1, 2. So ending on the pattern would be ending on 2. So, and that is how it's worked out. 1, 2, 1, and then 2. This round should have a total of 36 stitches. And off camera, I did double check and count, and that is the 36th stitch. Okay? So, this is what it's looking like. 12 stitches for round 1, 24 stitches for round 2, 36 stitches for round 3. Now we're going to slip stitch into the third chain up, 1, 2, 3. Yarn over. Get it in there correctly. Okay, yarn over and pull all the way through. Chain 3 for round 4. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so we've chained 3, and now the pattern says work 4 DC even. So you might be wondering, what does that mean for DC even? Well, we know DC obviously stands for double crochet, but what does it mean to work even? It just means to put 1 double crochet into each of the next 4 stitches. So 1 double crochet goes in there, 1 there, 1 for you, 1 for you. Everybody gets a double crochet, 1 for you, 1 for you, 1 for you, 1 for you. But it's even because it's like 1 to 1, basically. So it's just the easier way, definitely a more succinct way of saying 1 double crochet into each of the next 4 stitches. Okay, so we've chained 3, now 4 DC even, so 4 double crochet, so 1 goes in there. And my yarn is still trying to split, I apologize. Oh, by the way, your diameter here, she says in the pattern it should be approximately 5.75 inches at this point, just as a reference. So as you see, mine is less than that for sure. Mine is about just a little bit over 5, but I'm not worried about it. I could always add more rows later if I need to, but that's just a reference, okay? Alright, so 1 double crochet goes into that next stitch. Okay, so that was the chain 3 for that chain 3. This is the next stitch. 1 goes in there. Now we move on to the next one. 1 goes in there. Next one. 1 goes in there. Next one, which is the 4th one. 1 goes in there. Okay, so we've crocheted 4 DC even. That one goes with that one, that one goes with that one, that one goes with that one, and that one goes with that one. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? Now, in the next double crochet, we want to put 2. So in this next stitch down there, we want to put 2 double crochet into that one. So we're still increasing. Whenever you put more than 1 stitch into a stitch below, you're increasing. Okay, now we're just going to continue on with the pattern. Now you might think, okay, the pattern is 4, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2. But don't forget this chain 3, which counts as a stitch. So technically it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2. So that's what we're going to do. In the next 5 stitches, we're going to put 1 double crochet. Or another way to say that is we're going to work 5 DC even. And then in that 6th stitch, we're going to put 2 double crochet in it. So let me demonstrate. 1, next stitch, 2, next stitch, 3, next stitch, 4, next stitch, 5, and then next stitch, which is the 6th stitch, we're going to put 2 double crochet. 1, and then back into that same stitch, and 2. So the pattern is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2. Okay, So starting at the beginning, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2. And you're going to continue working that around, and I will meet you at this last stitch there. Alright, so we've arrived at our last stitch. By the way, this round, which is round 4, should have a total of 42 stitches. I did count off camera, and once I end on the pattern by putting 2 double crochet here, I will have 42 stitches. I currently have 40. Once again, when I say end on the pattern, that means ending on the 2, since the pattern is 5, 2. So here was the last 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then in this last stitch here, we're going to put our 2. So it ends on the 2, ends on the pattern. Okay, so now we need to slip stitch into the top chain. So 1, 2, 3, slip stitch, and then chain 3 for round 5. So for rounds 5 through 9, we're going to just put 1 double crochet into every stitch. So this first stitch has its stitch, which is that chain 3. This next stitch, we're just putting 1 double crochet into that stitch. Next stitch gets a double crochet as well. 1 double crochet into each stitch below. Next stitch, 1 double crochet. Okay, so you're just going to keep doing that until you get back around, and then you're going to slip stitch, chain 3, and do it again. So remember, you're going to do it for round 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So you're going to have 5 rounds where you're just putting 1 double crochet into every stitch below. Another way to look at it or say it is that you're going to be working 42 stitches even. Just to try to get you guys used to that terminology, okay? So I'm going to meet you at the end of round 9. See you there. Alright, so I am completing round 9 now. Putting my final double crochet into the final stitch below. And now I'm going to slip stitch into the 3rd chain up. 1, 2, 3. Alright. So now I am going to drop this yarn, and I'm going to go over to the other color, and I'm going to put that on my crochet hook. But I'm not going to fasten off, so I'm not going to cut the green and move on. I'm just going to loop the red end like that, and then pull on the green to make that loop disappear. And now I'm going to chain 1, so I can pull that, pull the green, just to keep that down. Okay, so now that I have that like that, I'm going to chain 1, and you can continue to tug on that green in the back. If that loop starts to come up, just pull down like that. And now I'm going to put 1 single crochet in each stitch below. Also, I'm going to crochet over this tail, okay? So, for instance, here's the yarn coming from the skein. This is the tail. This is the next stitch. I'm going to, since I'm making a single crochet, go into the top like that. Put the tail over, yarn over, pull through, and when I yarn over, make sure I yarn over keeping the tail down and completing the slip stitch like that. Next stitch, yarn over, make sure the tail is lying on top, and you yarn over keeping the tail in the center like that. Okay, one more, go into the next stitch, put the tail down like that, yarn over, pull through to the front, pull that up, yarn over, keeping the tail in the center down there, and pull through. Okay, so I'm going to work 1 single crochet all the way around at each of the 42 stitches, technically 41. This chain one makes it 42 stitches, but one single crochet all around, and I'll meet you back here. Alright, this is the last stitch, so we'll put our final single crochet in there. Notice that tail is long gone, so you don't have to worry about laying it on top or anything. We'll make our last single crochet, and we're just going to slip stitch into that chain one there. This might be a little tough because it's only one stitch, but just keep working your crochet hook in there. Try not to split the yarn too badly. And yarn over and then pull all the way through. There we go. Let's take that lint off while we're doing this. Alright, and then all the way through. Now we're going to drop this red, and we're going to pick up the green again. So just yarn over and pull it through. Then pull on the red, like that, and now we're going to cut our yarn. What you can do is, once you get that tight, you can tie a knot with the green, just to secure it. Like that. And you know I like 2 knots. Okay, and don't worry, we're going to crochet over that tail. So we're going to chain 1, and now we're going to turn our work and go back the other way. Okay, but we're also going to crochet over this tail. So we're just going to crochet out 20 single crochets. So that was the chain 1. This is the next stitch right there. So we're going to go into it, putting the tail on top, yarn over, and we make that single crochet. 1, 2, next one, keep that tail down, 3, and just keep on crocheting over that tail until you're done. 4, okay, and I am going to meet you once I get all 20 of these stitches, these single crochets completed. Alright guys, so you see I have all 20 single crochets completed. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to chain 1. By the way, we just completed row 1. So now we're not working in rounds, we're working in rows. So when I say row, I actually mean it, and I'm correct for once. Okay, so we chain 1, and now we're moving on to row 2. So we're going to turn our work, and we're going to skip this first single crochet that the chain is coming out of, right? So that's that one. We're also going to skip that next one, and in this third single crochet down here, that's where we're going to put 2 single crochet. So just work into the top of it like that, like normal. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, go through 2. Now we're going to go back in there, yarn over, go through 2. The reason that you skip essentially those first 2 is to kind of give it a slope, okay? So now that we have chain 1, turn our work, skip that first single crochet that the chain 1 is coming out of, skip the next stitch, the next single crochet, and then put 2 single crochets into that, essentially the third stitch. Now we're going to work 4 single crochet even. So 1 single crochet into each of the next 4 stitches. And then after that, we're going to put 2 single crochet into that 5th stitch. So let me show you what I mean. 4 single crochet even means putting 1 single crochet into the next 4 stitches. So let's go. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now we're going to put 2 single crochet into that next one. 1, 2, and that was technically the 5th of that grouping. Now we're going to work 3 single crochet even. So 1 single crochet into the next 3 stitches. And if your yarn splits, just take it out and start over. You want it to look nice. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, and then 2 single crochet in that 4th one. 1, 2. Okay. Alright, and we're going to do that again. So we're going to work 3 single crochet even. So 1 in the next 3 stitches. That's 2. That's 3. And then in that 4th stitch, we'll put 2 single crochet. 1, 2. Okay? And then at that point, we should have 4 single crochet remaining. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And we're just going to put 1 single crochet into the remaining 4 stitches. 1, 2, 3, and here's that last one. You might get a little tight, but you got it. 4. So this is what it's looking like so far. Alright, moving on to row 3. We're going to chain 1, turn our work, and once again, you're going to skip this chain right there that this chain 1 is coming out of. See, this is the stitch, the single crochet, and that chain is coming out of it. We're going to skip that, and we're going to skip that next stitch. And we're going to essentially work into that 3rd stitch. So there's 1, that's the chain, that's where the chain is coming out. We skip that, we skip the next stitch. This 3rd stitch, 1, 2, 3, that's where we're going to put our 1st stitch. And we're just going to put 1 single crochet into that stitch, and then 1 single crochet across in each stitch below. So working 1 single crochet across. Okay, and this row, row 3, should have a total of 18 stitches. I will meet you once we get to the other end. Alright, so moving on to row 4, we're going to chain 1, turn our work. Once again, we're skipping the stitch that the chain 1 is coming out of, which is that one. We're skipping that stitch, and into this next stitch, that 3rd stitch over, we're putting our 1st single crochet. Now we're going to put 1 single crochet into the next 2. So essentially, we work 3 single crochet, and now in this next stitch, we're going to put 2 single crochet. 1, and go back in there. 2. Let's work 3 crochet even again. So next stitch gets 1. Next stitch gets 1 as well. Next stitch gets 1 as well. That's the 3rd one. And then the next stitch gets 2. That 4th stitch gets 2. Let's do it again. Next stitch gets 1. Next stitch gets 1. Next stitch gets 1. And then the next stitch gets 2. Let's do it again. Next stitch gets 1. Next stitch gets 1. That's 2. Next stitch gets 1. That's 3. And then the next stitch gets 2. 1. Go back in there. That's 2. All right, and then these 3 remaining, 1, 2, 3, they all get 1. 1, 2, and just get in there like that. 3. Okay, so your brim is forming before your eyes. There's a slant on this side. There's also a slant on this side. All right, so now moving on to row 5. We're going to reverse single crochet around the edge. All right, beginners, it's time to up your skill level a little bit because we are about to do some reverse crocheting. We're about to do the reverse single crochet. Now, I know a lot of people are intimidated by this, but there's nothing to be intimidated by. We're just going to take your time and knock it out the park like we do everything else on this channel. So, you're going to chain 1, and we're going to be making single crochets, but instead of going in that direction like we normally do, we're going to be going in this direction. So it's going to involve going in the stitches that are behind you. So this is the first stitch that we're going into. So there's 1 single crochet, there's another one. We're going to go in between this one and that one. Yarn over, pull it back through to the front like that. You're going to have 2 loops just like normal for any other single crochet. Yarn over and go through 2. Okay? Now it's time to work the next reverse single crochet. Well, the next 2 stitches are that one and that one. So we're creating a reverse single crochet for this stitch, so we need to go in between that one and that one. So we go in between those 2 now. Yarn over, pull through to the front. We'll have 2 loops. Yarn over and go through 2. You have just completed 2 reverse single crochets. Congratulations. See, it's not that hard, you guys. The next stitch is here, and here are the next 2, so we want to go in between there. So get your crochet hook, go in there like that in between the 2, yarn over, pull through to the front. We have the 2 loops, 1, 2, yarn over, and go through 2. You're just going to keep doing this. Here are the next 2. Go in there, in between them. Yarn over, pull through to the front. 2 loops, 1, 2. Can you see the 2 there? 1, 2. Yarn over, pull through like that. And you see it's creating this nice border. Okay? That's one of the benefits of crocheting in reverse. So you're going to continue doing that until we get to this other end of the brim, and I will meet you there. Okay, so we're at the end of the brim, and now we need to go down, right? Because we need to get down to this part. So basically we're going to continue working reverse single crochets. We're just going to do them at the ends of these rows. Remember rows 1, 2, 3, 4? We're just going to put a reverse single crochet in each of those rows to get ourselves down to here. Okay? So just find a spot at the end of each row. Stick your crochet hook in there. And just continue doing what you've been doing. That's 1. Go back to the next edge. That's 2. Go back to the next one. That's 3. And go back to the next one. That's 4. Okay? So we just worked our way down one side of the brim. So that's the outer part of the brim. We just worked our way down. And now we're just going to continue working across the main body of the hat into the single crochets. So this part is just like before. This is the next stitch, and we're going to go between that one and that one. So we go back, go in the stitch, yarn over, pull through to the front. You have your 2 loops. If I could get them to split. They're like married. Alright, 1, 2. And then you just yarn over and go through both. The next stitch is that one. So we go in between that one and that one right there. Turn your hook, yarn over, pull through to the front, yarn over, and go through both loops. Next stitch, there. So we go in between that one and that one. See how I'm turning my hook to go in there? Yarn over, pull back through. 2 loops, 1, 2, yarn over, go through 2. Okay, I will meet you on the other side. Alright, you guys, I am just about done. Notice I'm keeping this kind of loose. Since this is the part where my head will need to fit in, I don't want this to close up because I have a tight tension. So I'm just going to work on these remaining few stitches. Once again, see how I'm turning my hook to go in? So normally I'm holding it like this, right? But I'm turning it this way, kind of counterclockwise to go in there. And I'm yarning over, pulling it back through, and now I'm back to normal. Alright, we're going to put one more right there in that corner, just so it doesn't get too tight. And now we're going to work our way back up to here. This is where we first started with these reverse single crochets. So now we just have this last little bit of edge. So we have about 4 more to do, because remember, we're putting 1 reverse single crochet at the edge of each of these rows, and we did 4 rows. Alright, so see if we can find a nice spot. I'm gonna put one there, and remember, I'm gonna just leave it loose. I don't want this tight. Alright, and then there, it's 2 more there. Just get in there where you can get in there. You don't have to be super precise with this, okay? It's gonna look nice regardless. And make sure you're not splitting any yarn when you come out. It's 3. And let's see if I can find 4. I'll just put another one right there, just so that there is no gap, even if it's not completely in the 4th row or at the edge of the 4th. Alright, so that's that. Now, like I said, this is where I started. I don't want that opening right there, so I'm going to go into the base there and do a reverse. Alright, so now it really is pretty seamless. I'm going to chain 1, cut my yarn, fasten off, and then I'm going to weave this tail in with the darning tapestry weaving needle. So we'll try to yarn this. Sometimes it can be tougher because this yarn is super bulky, so it's just even more strands to get through. But thankfully I was able to do it while on camera pretty successfully. And I'm just going to go through some stitches. You guys know how to do this. You're pros at this now. So just go through some stitches in one direction. Pull that through. And you might have to actually pull on the yarn itself, the loose end, to get it through, with this thick yarn. Stretch it out. And then we're going to go back in the opposite direction, going through stitches as well. By the way, I could go through these reverse single crochets, but they're a little bit looser. And I prefer to just go through the single crochets because I know they're nice and tight. So it's going to hold that yarn better, in my opinion. So yeah, just go through some stitches going back the other way. In the green, you don't want to go through the red if you're weaving in green yarn, right? So, alright, and just pull that through. Like I said, you might need to pull on the tail itself versus just the needle. Alright, and we'll stretch that back out. Alright, and now we can cut that. And just like that, it disappears. Okay? This is just a little remnant from when I cut my yarn earlier. But I kind of like it because it kind of serves as the tag for the back. Since here's the rim. So it's kind of cute. It's like, oh, that's cute. That's the cutest little tag I've ever seen. So yeah, guys, this is your men's crochet hat with a brim. And you guys got to learn to do the reverse single crochet, which leaves a very awesome finished look. Thank you so much to Dawn Gillis for providing this free pattern. I encourage you guys to go out and make your own. It's just really, really cool. And with this super chunky yarn, you're able to make this really quickly. It's very thick and warm, and I don't even have the wool lion brand yarn. I just have a regular super bulky yarn, and it feels amazing. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed this video. Let me know if you have any questions, and I will see you in the next video. Happy crocheting.